downs than he used to have previously, where I think he was a large part of the reason why they were so dominant at the start of the year, and has obviously been playing very well, as there is that Sion ban that I think we're all waiting for.
Exactly right, we are into Champion Select here for game number 1. Already some bans coming through thick and fast. A certain Golden Pigeon is still standing out though.
So the thing that's interesting about CFO, of the 3 wins that they've had so far at this tournament, all of them have been with Sion. HLE, the first team to sit there and go, you know what, we're just going to ban it away, especially away from Driver, the man who is named after the Sion pick himself. Of course, we know that Driver has become a lot more diverse in his pool throughout the summer split, so let's see what he's prepared for Zeus in the top lane.
And here at Worlds, he's going to have to be a lot more diverse in his champion pool. In fact, adding double the amount of champions here today, which is going to be a large statistical leap.
It's also something that I was really wondering coming into the series for Hanwha, is that they were, in my opinion, the most well-prepped team, and they had the most targeted plans out of anyone. And I think that CFO kind of echoed that. The way they dispatched of T1, I think, was really a super good approach at specifically what made T1 strong in the early game, which was Owner, the very early invade, and we see Hanwha Life also taking lessons with that Qiyana banned away from JunJia.
Well, Aurora, Azir, both very powerful mid laners open, with the Rise open too, but we do know that CFO do have a tendency to lean more towards this Aurora, especially with some of the performances we've seen from HongQ. Yunara, another big one. I feel like if CFO don't prioritize it, this is something that Viper will happily take off the board.
Yeah, and one thing that we haven't really spoken about, which is a little bit more of an overarching thing, is the fact that we had 2 days off. And so developments could actually exist here in this draft. Not so far though, because the Orianna has been first pick priority for quite some time. I imagine that the Yunara Azir is looking like a pretty comfy lock-in.
Also wonder whether that ups the Jarvan prio. I do know that we've been talking a lot about Jarvan, his strength as a pick. I do think the combo with Orianna specifically does really hold up to scrutiny. This pick for Viper would be no surprise, and Zeka does have the opportunity to go towards the Aurora. Orianna, to me, is kind of where we've seen Azir a lot in the past, where she feels like her laning phase is super oppressive, she skills really well into the game, she really kind of does everything. Might be prio for Peanut early on the Xin Zhao. Trundle is still open, but Xin Zhao we've seen do really well into Jarvan specifically.
Absolutely. The question is, what do you want to pair alongside this Orianna? Because as you're highlighting, the Xin Zhao kind of preemptively to dissuade something like a Jarvan, but they might not care about it, as they immediately switch on over to the Azir, something that Zeka, we've seen a fair amount of from him throughout the year. And I imagine that paired alongside the Yunara, already you're looking at a very stable and secure front-to-back style of composition.
And we've really gone back and forth on Zeka, where at first Azir was one of the champions that obviously was added to the melee pool very early on. And then there was a large period where he could kind of play everything. And then this year we've really seen him struggles, even on pick that he's been historically great on. I do think Azir is one of those champions that you just need to be able to play within the LCK. Really anywhere, but in the LCK in particular, we have a couple of really big enjoyers of this champion, so not playing it isn't an option. Would mean that the Xin Zhao is going to go over to JunJia here. That is still a great combo with the Orianna. I don't think it's as like team fight heavy as a Jarvan would, because you also have the ability to go in with the R and then follow up from there, but still very strong amount of early skirmishing here, already locked in for CFO.
I'm wondering how priority things like Ksante would be if they're interested in tanks. It looks like it's going to be very high priority.
Yeah. I would say they'll choose to do that.
Yeah, it looks like that's what they're going to do. So now you have the choice of, do you lock in your jungle here for HLE to make sure that you have a solid matchup? Because as you mentioned, that there are still a good number of junglers left that you can play into the Xin Zhao. Alternatively, you can get that top lane counter. But we know that Zeus is someone that has a very deep pool, is probably very flexible with what he's played into the Ksante. So I expect the jungle to come through, given that Zeus has so much flexibility in his options.
I'm looking at Poppy. Jarvan is, again, I think a pick that has been very often talked about, does still have a decent amount of power, but I don't love it into what CFO already have, and they do still have the ability to pick an AD carry that isn't bothered. That for me is always one of the big tests. If you're playing something like Sivir, that will be something where you do really struggle playing into that, and instead, I think the Poppy might still end up as a ban, because I do think that CFO really don't want to play into that.
Well, Caitlyn's going to be taken away first as we hop into our second round of bans. We'll see where CFO's focus is going to be. We're looking at top lane, we're looking at support, and I think there is a certain shape-shifting support champion that I know, Chronicler, you're a huge fan of and think is very balanced.
Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing whether they do get rid of the Nico or not. That was sarcasm, by the way, everyone at home, in case you didn't pick that one up. He hates that champion.
I think Nico's fine. This is the amount of engages I've seen.
The current iteration
there you go.
power level at this point in time.
Sounds like he hates Nico.
Yes,
okay.
that's exactly right. Vedius,
Is this how we're going to start?
Between
you
the
guys are already ganging up on me?
I'm just trying to understand. Atlus is just your translator, you know what I mean?
Just need to
find Vedi.
We just need to help him.
And there is the Nico ban coming through from Hanwha Life as we try to move on
they hate
from the
Nico as
conversation.
well, is that what you're saying?
Well, I think it makes sense that they don't want to play
That's
into
a bit
it.
harsh, Chronicler,
Trying their very best to continue on in this draft. Poppy, to me, could obviously go top. We saw Broken Blade pilot that with great efficiency, and Zeus is also one that loves his more creative counter picks. But Hanwha Life could also just say, like, we slam Rumble and just leave it at that. And that's not the best matchup into the Ksante. Specifically, we see Ksante picked a lot into Rumble, but with Jarvan and with Azir, it does make sense as the Braum ban comes through.
Are they thinking Kai'Sa? I don't love it.
Yeah, that sounds
I'm
like
just
a
thinking
risk.
about, yeah,
Like
I mean, I
Kai'Sa
think it is a... No, I mean, like, the safest would be something like Lucian or Ezreal, and it is Doggo, so I feel like that he's more than happy to play both of those champs.
Yeah, it's going to be the Rumble locked in, though, for Zeus. No real surprises there, but not necessarily something we say checkmate as far as the top lane is concerned. Doggo's Draven was pretty good the last time we saw it.
Against a Jarvan, that would surprise me. Jarvan Rumble seems like... I mean,
no, I'm with you.
Ambitious dating carry, I would say.
Are we going to see the lane swap come in again, though?
That's true, yeah.
Because he's already taken out the T1 top laner of now in a solo kill. Maybe he's going to do the one previously as well. Never mind, not on an Ezreal.
Not going to
That's
get
not
the
happening.
opportunity. I do think, I'm with you, Vedi. I think their Draven was a really big risk. Even in that game, I think their Draven got off to basically the dream start. It worked out really well, but Ezreal is just so insanely safe. It takes away a lot of the value from that Jarvan.
Nami could also be...
Oh, God, no.
I was thinking of two other enchanters, Kaiwing. I gave you two others that you could
like
use.
those others more,
Karma, Nami, I'll even take a Lulu.
Oh, no. No. That look on his face. Oh, thank goodness. Okay,
Oh,
Nami's happy.
there we go.
Okay.
And this is a bit of a special one, right?
Yeah, this is what we come to expect from Kaiwing. Definitely one of his special picks, and he had a great performance on it as well, so already in this tournament. It just helps a lot with the poke. It gives you a little bit of sustain, but also that disengage ultimate to help with the threat of the Jarvan looking to engage on your backline.
And it's actually really interesting, right? Because Kaiwing, one of the older players on this team, Delight, when he was a bro, was an incredible Nami player. He was known as playing enchanters. We see him now as like engage, but that's what he developed himself as alongside Henna.
And while you mentioned, bro, Delight got
he's pretty good at this champion.
This was back in like 2022 when bro wasn't really that much of a threat. Of his Rakan specifically, looking at the composition for Hanwha, I think it's very cohesive, obviously plays very well, very far forward. I do think they can struggle with the lack of front line if they end up getting into like these kind of classic front to backs. And the early skirmishing has been the biggest thing in this tournament. And I do think that Zeka's laning phase in particular will have to be good here to buy Peanut the space to go for these early plays.
Yeah, I mean, what I think is interesting is HLE have a lot of damage threats, but their engage is very quick. Jarvan and Rakan, a very fast ability to dive onto the backline, and Rumble can immediately follow that up with his ulti, with both Viper and Zeka kind of doing what they can, hitting whatever target becomes the closest. Whereas I feel for CFO, while I think it's a little bit easier for them to gain space, because what's Ksante afraid of? You know, when that dragon is being started by HLE, he can walk up, he can acquire some space for them, he's got that Orianna, he's got that Nami behind him, but their engage is not the easiest to pull off. You've got a Zhao that can dive in, Ksante doesn't have the easiest way to start off the fight, and I think that as long as HLE play with their range, it's much easier for them to kind of get advantages in team fights, leverage the poke, and I think in the 5v5, I do give the edge to HLE.
Yeah, it's feeling very committal on the side of CFO, but that is exactly what CFO do. They hard commit to fights all game long, and we're going to see whether they'll do it again here in game number 1 as we get onto the Rift for this best of 3. Don't worry, guys, we are just going to be promoting a team to our top 8 rather than saying goodbye to anyone in this best of 3. Still a chance for either of these teams if they don't make it through this one. But then it's do or die as the Gyos do come through.
You know, those power rankings that we just saw at the top, I know obviously these power rankings, the statistics that come in behind them as JunJia looks for a bit of early vision. you know, there's always a lot of conversation that happens around them, right? Like, arguing, is HLE actually the second best in the world right now? Is CFO number 5? Like, you can debate for
Is
days.
KT the best team in the world right now?
Excellent question.
Yeah, it's a very good question.
That's why I love casting with you.
Good call, Max.
What I love about it, and what I think it really demonstrates, is the unbelievable amount of growth that we have been seeing from CFO throughout the year. The fact that they have consistently challenged these top teams, but unfortunately have always just fallen short of being able to beat them, just shows the level of which they've risen to, but also showcases the potential that exists in this roster. And to upset HLE today, I think, would be monumental for them and the region.
Yep. Having a look here at the year of CFO, they have been just kicking goals all over the place. And the other side of the coin isn't the same story, right? And I actually love this as a barometer for how HLE is going to look and to measure the performance of CFO and how much they've improved. Already, you can see that this lane matchup, not exactly the most fun for Zeka.
Well, we've also seen teams, I think, really stifled in their growth when you're so obviously the best team in a region. And that, I think, is so cool about CFO, is that that hasn't seemingly harmed them. There's obviously also the proximity, right? They're able to scrim against LPL or CK teams. But you need to get to the point where they see you as a scrim partner in the first place. So
that's not an easy thing.
That is not an easy thing. Known hard thing, actually, to get going consistently. As looking at both junglers currently pathing towards the bot side of the map, we also have actual just normal lanes, which I love.
We're also seeing in this early game just pressure from CFO all across the map. HongQ playing hyper-aggressive in the mid lane, making sure that he leverages the early strength of Orianna. In the bot lane 2 versus 2, the additional sustain that Kaiwing is bringing on the Nami means that he can help the Ezreal get that early push. And on the top side of the map, Rumble doesn't have the same threat that he will later on into the game. So CFO are playing with 3 pushing lanes now, and I'm very curious as to what JunJia will do with that pressure, because when it comes to star power, he really is kind of the shining star of this team, and he makes a lot of magic happen for CFO.
And Peanut has been one of the biggest early instigators in the entire LCK. The man loves to flash over walls early on, try and go for these really aggressive level 3 ganks. We're not going to see any of that this time around, though. Both junglers have just decided to go for a full clear. Peanut's going to cross because obviously he wants to try and play away from the bot lane that is so heavily pushed in, and should still be able to get his crab there.
Yep, going for a little bit of a wraparound here. We'll see whether he is actually looking for HongQ. But instead, going to be a little distracted by the shellfish.
You need that crab.
You got to get the crab first. But then he might head into this mid lane to try and punish a bit of the shove that has come through here. JunJia going to finish off his clear as the Demacian junglers both going to be mirroring each other on opposite sides of the map. And you can see here, Zeus, level 4, feeling a whole lot more comfortable in this matchup. And speaking of matchups, things actually are... One thing that I hadn't actually noticed is that HongQ on a champion he's pretty comfortable on, guys. 11-2 his whole career on this champion, and that is a lot of games for someone so young.
And not only that, I want to highlight again the contrast to me.
Bit of a grand entrance here as Viper doesn't have a lot of the blue stuff, but is otherwise feeling okay. Delight still has the moves on the Rakan.
The contrast coming into the series compared to where at the beginning of the year where Zeka was picking Yone and Zed and actually did have like really flashy performances on it, obviously known for his melee champions for the longest time. But coming into this series, I think that we're seeing Zeka still kind of struggle with the issues he had domestically, where he's just not able to really perform to his highest level. And that might be the opportunity that CFO are going to be looking for. I am also looking at how these team fights are going to look. We've seen a lot of games really decided, like the first 2 skirmishes at Drakes. Sometimes a Grubs contest, but usually that one is traded. But the Herald is where games are made or broken, and then, you know, at Otacon you get the opportunity. Maybe they throw back at you. As I hope we'll get that today as well, because the last time these 2 teams faced, even though the series wasn't that long, it was violent.
Certainly was.
Oh!
Jinx! Look at that synergy. Isn't that beautiful?
He needs to talk.
I'm really looking forward to when you come to the LCK next year.
He needs to talk. You have to say his name, because you jinxed him.
Oh, sorry, Vedius.
I mean,
do I need to say it like lots of times?
Day, but it's okay.
I mean, I could do that.
Can't believe he jinxed me on a cat.
I mean, it's obviously Andy Day.
That's true. Only my mother calls me Andrew. Shockwave.
Yeah, Zeka taking a bit of damage here, but I think he'll be all right. The pressure from HongQ is just massive, though, and you can see it is being demonstrated in that 10 CS gap. Peanut going to move on over here as Control Wards are going to meet in the Banana Brush. For this Dragon, will be going over to JunJia without too much of a contest by HLE, just trying to get the information that they're looking for.
Yeah, and Hanwha Life already swapping away, not looking to contest this one. I think they do really need their level 6 on most of their characters to really get anything done. So instead of risking the game at an early play...
You think they want to kill HongQ?
Yeah, possibly.
Well, they're going to go for it here as Emperor's Divide will pick him up.
Peanut?
We'll see whether he can get himself out of there, but that is going to be first blood going over to Zeka, and that is a great start for this Azir that was struggling.
HLE just sent all the boys to mid lane.
Yeah!
Delight was there, Zeka was there, Peanut was there, and Zeus were all there. Doggo trying to get a bit of chip damage down onto Zeus, but he's going to walk that one off. But it is first blood over to HLE, and they make it look easy.
I actually really like that play there from Hanwha Life. They know that there's no ultimate for HongQ, but also I think normally when you get Drake for free, you would expect Hanwha Life to play towards the top side of the map, maybe invade their setup for grubs. Instead, they just really heavily overload mid. HongQ not wanting to use his flash, and to be fair, I think even if he flashes, Zeka follows him and he will end up going down.
Now, from Zeus' perspective, there's the risk of a dive in this position. There was a stacked wave, he'd taken a decent amount of damage, but given that there was no presence of the jungler, they saw the timing of the blue buff that actually pinged on the top side saying, actually, I'm pretty confident that JunJia's on the other side of the map right now, giving Zeus the safety and security to sit underneath his tower, but also giving that information over to Delight and Viper, who are holding onto this freeze on the top side of the map. It was a very stock standard early game where I felt CFO leveraged their pressure extremely well. But now that the SWATs have started to come through, grubs are going to be spawning soon, you can see that CFO under a little bit of pressure right now as they can't really punish anywhere on the map. And with grubs spawning in 25 seconds, it's HLE that's going to be in a much more favorable position to set up for that objective.
Yeah, and despite the fact that it's only about a 600 gold lead, which is somewhat considerable at 7.5 minutes, this is where HLE builds on the tempo vibes, right? They move around the map better.
It's time.
You're not aware of the tempo vibes?
I'm unaware of the
Have you done
tempo vibes.
your Atlus prep specifically?
I did not.
I mean, so tempo vibes are not actually something represented by what's going on in the game.
Very important.
Right?
You might think of tempo and like tempo. No, not that.
It's not actually like that. It's just a vibe of who's in the better position. And right now, Peanut not in a great position as Arcane Shift from Doggo getting so many of these Mystic Shots down. Viper trying to kite it out, has that Q activated, and he has to flash to move himself out of the area. Battle Dance to save to life, and Doggo snipes down Viper and will be able to answer that first kill.
So Doggo, he's got loads of tempo vibes out here.
Absolutely, there we go. Shockwave going to come through as HongQ also pretty good at that. He is going to be able to take a turret shot and be okay, but this dive is not over yet. This wave is crashing down, and Peanut and Delight both under full health. And Cataclysm does put Doggo in the cage, but Kaiwing is able to help pick that one up. Is that going to be Feats of Warfare? There it is! As the Orianna collects it. Now Zeka finds a triple knockback with the Emperor's Divide, and Viper has made his way back to the fight. Kaiwing will be the first one to go down in this next team fight as HongQ. No mana and not a lot of a chance to get himself out. But he is going to be able to flash. Still, Zeka able to pick it up. A double for the Azir, and HLE salvaged the play.
And you can see there at first, Hanwha Life, they're not actually going to pull the trigger, right? He's just getting poked. And Doggo's like, no, we are all inning. Viper wasn't ready. But then the extension on trying to further go for that dive towards the top side ends up backfiring as reinforcements arrive for Hanwha.
I mean, Doggo is just a monster. Someone needs to check his PC immediately.
Not normal.
It was not normal at all. Of course, the consequences of all of this for CFO is while they were able to get a bunch of kills, big stacked wave on the top side, a couple of CS going to be lost. They're going to be able to grab all of these grubs in favor of HLE as well. Doggo is in the vicinity, and you've got to be mindful, Peanut. This man is not afraid of anything.
He certainly isn't. They do have a lot of mobility, though, so Battle Dance should be able to get Delight over the wall if he wants to leave the pit. And Driver is now the one that could be in trouble or walking up very, very far. He's Ksante, so he will be able to take a beating, but oh my goodness, Slurkle slows him down. There's the interruption. Great flag and drag from Peanut. And now the all-out does have to be employed. Can Driver do the funny business to get himself out? He uses the flash to try and escape, but he's ran out of options. Does eat that CC very nicely, and oh no! He just gets himself out!
Not even close, baby! I thought that when he used the W, because
we really need Showmaker here, I think.
Clearly, he made the read.
Oh my goodness.
That they had based, right? They were expecting a base to come through here. We go back to that dive.
Yeah, let's go back to the dive. So this is all after Doggo has already secured that kill. It's a 4 versus 2. You can see that Peanut tries to punish Kaiwing as he gets aggro underneath the tower. The EQ doesn't really result in much, and it looks like a clean dive to start things off. But with the arrival of Zeka, I love this awareness. An easy 3-man ultimate to set up for Viper to come in, who's just come off the back of respawning. Means that he's just spent his gold, he's got items, and he does enough damage to work with Zeka after CFO have already used all their tools.
And that's the big thing. You know there's no cooldowns, all the ultimates are down. I also did not really catch, at that time, Driver was just proxying between 2 turrets, and Zeus was like trying to take a limit, obviously. It's Ksante, so that didn't work. And then they tried to kill the Ksante afterwards. Also didn't work as the Drake.
Yeah, Drake gonna get started up here as Zeka finds another 2! There is the tidal wave, that comes on through, but HongQ's already dead. Cataclysm will be avoided, but Doggo, he's out of the fight, he's out of the pit, and there is no hope for JunJia this time. It is a steamroll from HLE.
And Zeka is 2 for 2 now with these shuffles. Actually 3 for 3, even the gank in mid lane was him setting it up on the Azir, 5-0.
Absolutely ridiculous performance from the guy that was getting the most criticism.
Yeah.
First he doesn't build a tier on Rise, and now he's hit 2 fantastic shuffles here in this game, just trying to ramp himself up perhaps. As right now, might be eating my words, have done that already this game, so do need to be a little careful, but we are going to be saved by the replay of the Dragonfight.
And the target focus from Zeka is fantastic. When you're being collapsed on, just attack one of the flanks. He finds the bottom lane of CFO, quickly connects onto them. Doggo has to escape to safety as they're able to find that kill onto the Orianna. And this is the thing, while Orianna is a very strong champion in the current meta, when you don't have that flash, you're a very vulnerable champion, especially to the amount of mobility that HLE has access to. And we talked about it earlier, right? Speed. HLE's composition is fast, and I feel like that CFO are being punished in the setup for some of these objectives, as HongQ now gets dangerously low and is at risk of a dive.
Yeah, this is scary. No flash available. Does get the 2-man shockwave, though, as the punishment is going to come on through. But Redemption will be able to keep Zeka relatively safe as Kaiwing moves himself over. Delight is not afraid. Otherwise, everything's going to be okay.
Actually, really nicely done there. Made sure to clear the wave so that there wasn't an angle for a dive. He knew reinforcements on the way, so the next dive was at no threat. And I really want to highlight what you said earlier, Vedi, about HongQ. Without flash, there is a Jarvan whose ultimate will force you. Maybe even the flag and drag is Zeus.
Yeah, going all out here as the equalizer goes down. It just puts a wall between himself and Driver. There's the knock-up and the punishment to come in. I'll hold it until he's actually dead, and there he does finally go down. Some revenge here as True Shot Barrage not quite correct here to take down Zeus.
Peanut feels very omnipresent right now. It's probably because we just came out of a replay where he was bot lane and now he's top lane. The man is covering exactly where he needs to at just the right times. As Zeka.
Yeah, looking for HongQ here as the quickness comes in, and Delight will just hold him in position. Emperor's Divide, perfect position, but he's not dead just yet, and JunJia is making his way down. HLE, a little bit of a split decision, but Zeka decides he wants to get the kill as there is the turret going down in the top lane at the same time.
And the shutdown will go to JunJia. That's a small moment of respite for CFO, but they still got the 1-for-1. Zeka, I think, made the right call. He's not getting out, so he might as well make sure that he gets the kill onto HongQ. But the bigger story is that while that's happening because of the kill on Driver, top lane has fallen as Doggo.
Yeah, Viper taking so much damage here. That Trinity Force has been finished. The knock-up from downtown as Barrier is trying to keep Viper alive. Meanwhile, here on the bottom side of the map, JunJia is in trouble as Zeus is down here as well. That's a great ulti, and JunJia is going to be able to keep himself safe.
Oh, that flash predict from Doggo just doesn't quite have the damage yet.
And as you can see here, the Coinbase Gold Grind on the left of your screen, Zeka with a whole lot of extra money against the biggest powerhouse of this team.
And it feels like the game is quickly slipping out of CFO's control as HLE, I mean, I just took a quick glimpse at the minimap and it's just red wards littered everywhere. Some of that deep vision that HLE had gotten on the bottom side is now wearing off, but they have such great information on CFO's movements and they're already ahead of the play. Peanut has been there, ready to set up for these objectives, and while CFO have been able to steal a few of them away, given that they are sitting at 2 dragons right now, this Herald looks I mean, why do I say it's uncontested? Of course they will challenge, it's CFO!
Well, they're going to try. We'll see whether they can actually lock down the objective. He's just going to be able to steal it away. Feats of strength come in as well, but there's a great equalizer from Zeus. Cataclysm comes down, and there is the quickness as well for the charm. JunJia is immediately going to get punished, and they may not be able to get the eye, but at least they have some cool shoes.
I love that JunJia is just exquisite at winding HLE up. He is diving in solo. The fight doesn't go their way, but they steal away the objective once again. And CFO showing their aggression as Doggo.
Another arcane shift forward as Peanut going to get himself out of that. Top of the morning to you, he says. Zeka is going to shift some sands to get himself to safety as well. Doggo, he's going to do it, isn't he? Okay, never mind. Not this time.
I was ready for it.
They had vision a lot in the area, so he would have been relatively safe to do it, but decides not to.
And that was a really nice steer from JunJia, but I think it also highlights what you said earlier, Vedi, which is that I think the CFO comp, if they're at an objective first, I actually think the comp feels so strong. You have a lot of zone control, you have a lot of poke, you have a lot of healing, but as you can see, when they need to regain control of an area, it's quite hard. Even though you get the steal here, look at the re-engage that comes through from Hanwha. Zeus might be in trouble.
Yeah, can't watch the replay in this one as Zeus is in so much trouble. Audacious charge comes through. He does flash to get himself out of the way. Wind becomes lightning, goes the wrong direction, but there's the shockwave, and down goes Zeus. Shut down money for the Orianna.
HongQ gets some much-needed gold as he has been the target from HLE throughout this game. The gold advantage still very much in HLE's favor, but CFO, after finding a pick, now set their sights on the third dragon of the game.
Yeah, so much vision though, and you're exactly right. And Infernal Soul is a big deal at the same time. HongQ this time in a whole host of trouble though as Viper not quite there for the damage. Still waiting for this Rumble to come back up again, and right now CFO do have control of the area. 50% on that health bar. Zeka gonna need to find a fantastic shuffle if they want to win this fight. Orb does come down. HongQ still with no mana in this fight. Great double knock up in the backline, and there is the flag and drag. At the same time, exhaust onto Doggo. He's put in the Cataclysm. Zeka takes down Kaiwing, and HLE have found their marks. Yes, Peanut goes down, but he has done enough for his teammates. As Viper may have stepped too far forward, he does get disengaged with that blast cone, but they will be able to get themselves the dragon. HongQ burning, but Zeus will not be able to find that kill, and my goodness, that could have been way worse for CFO.
And that was the light that set it all up. He went for a flash charm into two-man knock-up onto the backline of CFO. That took Doggo low, because don't forget, they were a member down, but I want you to look, HongQ doesn't have a lot of mana, doesn't have a lot of health, and no ultimate, so really this feels like a 4.5 versus 4. But the engages from Hanwha this game have been so on point, and JunJia accidentally knocks Peanut over the pit onto Doggo.
I mean, it's a very close fight. It's just happening back and forth over the wall. Doggo playing at the very edge of life and death as he's able to almost take out Viper, who heavily committed, thinking he could get the cleanup play, but again, with Doggo's positioning, able to navigate through that fight. But HLE, the good news is they get the Drake.
Viper, you have one item. I know that normally you're the accelerated guy on Hanwha Life, but you need to chill. If you have 3 items, you can go for that play. It's fine, but
I don't blame him.
This one.
It has been Viper Life eSports for quite some time, okay? And today Zeka decided to step up, and so he's all a bit confused and discombobulated about where he is at the point in the game. So I don't blame him for that one, but still gonna have to get themselves together if they're gonna win some of these team fights. CFO not out of this one yet, and those extra couple of Drakes helping out a lot.
The beauty of this game is it really personifies CFO as a team, how they really play with the nameplates off. The fact that they've contested every single objective, and they've stolen most of them, and the fact that they still commit to these fights, even if these fights don't look optimal, sometimes it backfires, but other times they find ways to either equalize or contest. It's important to realize that right now it is HLE in the driver's seat. They do have the gold lead. A lot of it is sitting on the important carries of Zeka and Viper, but we see how Doggo plays, and it only takes a couple moments like that, a single moment from Doggo, to punish your positioning, to swing the momentum back in CFO's favor.
And he's hit that 2-item spike as well. I mean, Doggo is extraordinarily powerful right now. You have a bit of an engage though, as Zeus in a bit of trouble once again. Equalizer goes down, he's doing a lot of damage. JunJia almost just dead, but the all-out holds him in position, and JunJia will survive.
Peanut's gonna look for an exit kill here.
A little bit of an angle perhaps, as he does dodge out of the way of that Q, looking for the Xin Zhao here. As you can see, Delight wants to come on over as well. Driver not quite finding the angles onto Peanut here, who will take the consolation Ksante for that 1-for-1. As Viper comes down, and if he gets the kill, that's going to feel a whole lot better here for HLE, and he does.
Ends up being a 1-for-1 overall, and there's not much else at the rest of the map that CFO can trade for. Those neutral objectives are unavailable, and Arakan all the way up in top lane. CFO didn't really have the tools to get out of that situation. Ideally, they would have loved to convert it into another tower, but it is important to remember that HLE right now have 3 towers standing, and CFO really can't get close.
CFO is still holding on to the mid lane turret though, and I think otherwise you might have seen Hanwha Life already way deeper into the enemy jungle. This time the rotation wasn't in time. If Otacon was on the opposite side, even though JunJia didn't end up dying, was very low, was at that point just shy of his second item. That could have been a window where Hanwha Life pulled the trigger. Not going to be the case though, and this Otacon certainly to be where the next fight says, as I say that, they're starting it up.
Yeah, Viper is just hitting it. Peanut going to turn up as well. There is no vision available here for CFO. And Kaiwing, like you say, he's going home. JunJia is going to be able to get a ward over the wall here. Or at least try and look for it. There it is. The control wall goes down. He gets the bad news.
They're too late.
But this Otacon is not long for the world, and Delight will turn up. He will be able to play defense to avoid him getting in here. Down goes the Otacon, and now Driver slowed by the circle. Zeus gets himself in there as the equalizer comes down. Perfect position once again. The tidal wave comes through. It's a phenomenal shockwave. HongQ decides that they want to win the fight, and now it's JunJia's turn to go deep. They look for the angle. Zeus goes down. Delight in a safe spot, and HLE, they're just trying to get the heck out of Dodge.
They need more though. Zeka might go down.
Yep, tagged by the Mystic Shot. Emperor's Divide pushes Doggo away, and is he going to survive? He will! Mystic Shot doesn't get the snipe, and Delight will also be safe on the top side. Man, they're not allowed to get away with that.
The problem for CFO is that they've just ignored all their waves. They focused on chasing down the kills. They wanted to try and get more off the back of it, but top lane was getting pushed in, mid lane was getting pushed in, and now HLE can reset back out onto the map, which means that CFO, even though they find a good shockwave, they find a good fight, okay, at the very least, can they?
I don't know.
They're not actually going to get a tower.
Oh, that's so unfair. Doggo does have to back away here. 3 versus 1 and not odds that he wants. 1 versus 2 he's very happy to do. This was a little bit of a bridge too far, as now Dragon going to be up in 18 seconds.
Hey, come on now. He'll go for it.
Yeah, I kind of regretted saying that as soon as I started.
That does mean that we're now 33 flowers to 10, and they will get this mid lane turret. Hanwha Life instead playing for Prio on the Dragon. Zeus obviously has decent
8
wave
seconds
clear
on that equalizer if they do want to just
it,
eradicate the wave. You're exactly right. Drake has coming up here, is now HLE in a bit of trouble. Shockwave onto 1, but Zeus is no longer here. The scrap shield's good, but JunJia just says, nah, get out of town, and he is going to be able to pick up that kill. Equalizer went down beforehand, though, and JunJia in a little bit of trouble. He's still going forward. Delight will be able to deny him, but I do love the idea at least. Another Peanut to come through. It's Peanut gets taken down. There is Viper finding a decent amount of damage, but they cannot do anything without their Jarvan, and that should be sole point.
Oh my god, the Ezreal ultimate almost got Delight because his back came through at just the right time, but it didn't actually hit.
This is a design. I don't know what is even happening here, but it should be sole point picked up by CFO,
It's going to be. HLE are going to trade back this mid-tier 1. This is something they've been doing very well this game. The cross maps, the trading objectives, they go into HongQ.
Yeah, HongQ does manage to get the flash out, and now the bubble connects by Kaiwing, but the follow-up, it's just not there. Viper stands in front of his Azir. Now Driver looking for a bit of an angle, but Delight is going to be there for the defense. And man, CFO are just getting so close so many times, it's frustrating.
And that is where the lack of engage comes in, right? The best way for them to start a fight have been like these shockwaves, or in case of this, just Doggo hitting again and again as JunJia follows up on the shockwave onto Zeus. Zeus tries to walk it off, but not able to. And then here I think JunJia correctly identifies that he will just not be able to get out of here alive. So he tries to get the kill onto Delight, who barely survives, as Vedi highlights, even almost gets sniped. But it's this pick right there, the cancel from Driver on the flag and drag, that kills Peanut, and with no jungler, that is CFO going to Infernal Soul Point. And this game, it just continues to deliver as Driver might be in trouble. There are a lot of people on the way.
Exactly. You've got Viper moving down from the north, as you can see, with Peanut alongside. It could also mean an inner turret as well, as Driver does go unstoppable, but Viper does have his teeth in now. Driver gets himself out. But is this inner turret going to be the next target? Looks like the answer is no, as HongQ trading on the other side of the rift.
So this is really good news for CFO, because now HLE playing a little bit desperate. They sent a lot of members towards the bot side of the map, committing to that play. They couldn't really keep that top tower alive for much longer, but it's also giving JunJia an opportunity to steal away some camps, as Peanut is doing the exact same thing on the bottom side of the map. Remember, the deficit that HongQ is at was absolutely massive early on into the game. It's still a 1k difference between the two mid laners, which means that he doesn't have that arm guard just yet. But CFO have a much more favorable position on the map. They've reduced the gold lead significantly. They've gotten the XP and the items that they need. And CFO, they're in prime position, especially with Soul on the horizon.
Exactly right.
And Hanwha Life are going to be looking to find either HongQ or Doggo. The one thing CFO need to be extremely careful about is that this is a 2-carry composition. We're getting to the point of the game where the Xin Zhao alone isn't going to be able to get the damage output to really chew for a lot of the members on Hanwha. So Zeka, Peanut, and Delight are all going to be looking to either take down HongQ, Doggo, or ideally both in one fell swoop. If they can eliminate those damage dealers early on in the fight, they might be looking at the next objective, but I think CFO has done such a good job consistently of not letting Hanwha Life just exit after they use their engage, after they use all their tools. As Peanut has just been looking for these flanks. Doggo's obviously a tough target. Kaiwing also still has his flash available.
Yeah, playing some defense here as Delight making his way forward. There's the quickness. Delight seeing who he can pick up here as the wall. Sorry, the wave is going to be avoided. Cataclysm puts them both in equalizer. Down on top to barbecue them. And there is the Emperor's Divide to lap up that bottom lane. Now Zeka in trouble though. Will he be able to break the arm guard? He will. He's on 1 health though. After everything's said and done, the ult from JunJia so incredibly good. But Viper is still standing. It's so much damage. And the carries for CFO are down.
It was a beautiful engage from HLE, but it ended as a 3 for 3. The fact that CFO is able to turn that around is phenomenal.
And it's the absorption of Delight. Is eventually able to get on top, but I want the only real damage he receives is ultimate. The shockwave comes through from HongQ. Doggo's there, and if Zeka hadn't gone that TP off, they would have been in dire straits. Instead, it's Driver. Look how he holds this choke here.
And Zeka has to put himself in such a dangerous position in order to make that play happen. With the arrival of Viper, though, you think that it's just cleanup, but JunJia and Driver just go God mode as they find an escape angle. The blast cone gets them to safety. And what should have been an uncontested Baron for HLE after finding a phenomenal fight, the map just resets.
I do want to highlight, though, in a minute, Dragon will spawn. I think that is something that CFO can ignore, Hanwha Life cannot. They cannot give it up. Look at the summoners that were used. HongQ probably will have his flash available at that point, but Doggo and Kaiwing will not.
The armband being used by Zeka, but is now available for HongQ. The moment of stasis that he's going to be able to buy could be the difference maker. Level 15 secured for Zeka. Once he gets to level 16, 3 points in his ultimate. This Azir is going to be very scary. Whoa, 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 CFO.
This is aggressive. Driver does push himself forward. Viper finds a Slurkle, but isn't going to be able to get too much more. Zeka is getting money towards that bottom side. If he can complete the Hourglass, could be a big deal. And there it is,
yep.
Picked up. So got enough money. Now contesting this Baron feels a little bit better. But look at the gold. It is dead even. One thing we do need to talk about, though, is pedal advantage with 26 extra pedals.
Oh, yeah.
They have almost 2,000 gold worth of adaptive force there. Thank you very much to our stats team coming up with that one. So this is still a bit of an advantage for HLE. Delight's flashing forward. He finds the quickness to lock down HongQ. Another phenomenal equalizer from Zeus. And the blast cone will not save the Orianna. Battle Dance gets him out of there. And Delight has been so good. JunJia now in trouble. If they lose their jungler, they're in so much dire straits, as you said, Chronicler.
Look at the flash timer. It just now became available. HongQ didn't have it. The timing from Hanwha Life, literally seconds away from what it could have been. And now this should secure the Dragon because they didn't kill JunJia. I don't know if they can go for Nash, and you need to be careful that Nash isn't taken.
Oh my God, those slows.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, 3 items for Viper, 3 items for Zeka. They just melt through Driver now. And I mean, the timing was perfect because I think both Doggo and Kaiwing had just based as well. Like, HLE found the perfect moment.
Ooh, ships in the night here as the Dragon will be secured. Second one for HLE, denying the soul. As Viper takes half of his health bar from that True Shot Barrage. Doggo still hurts so much. Now with his 3rd item completed.
But this is really could have been game losing because JunJia survives. Like, it's fine. HongQ now has his flash available. Hanwha Life got a Dragon, but again, it's only a second Drake, not the end of the world. Doesn't really matter that much. And it means that this game will remain in an even state. I do think we're seeing that if CFO leaves up or down their guard for just a second, Hanwha Life will take something, right? And that's been where Hanwha Life has really excelled, when they're able to just pull the trigger quickly on these plays. And I think we're going to see them just continuously put pressure on this Baron because they shred this objective.
Certainly do. As HongQ, even though he's 2 and 8, has still done the most damage in the
2
game.
and 6 and
Sorry,
8.
2, 6, and 8. There was an 8 there. I put it in the wrong spot. That is my bad.
I think he's overgrouping though. He has TP available. There's a nice way for him to catch on the bot side of the map. It would get him level 15. He needs a little bit more gold injected into him, but he's so wary of HLE forcing things that he wants to be present for the fight, and that fight is about to happen right now.
That's exactly what they're doing.
Look at JunJia's positioning.
This is just melting. It's absolutely obscene. Driver goes in there. They're going to see whether they can win the fight because they're not going to take the Baron. The rest of CFO move over, but Driver's going all out, and he needs to get out because that health bar is just missing. Emperor's Divide finds 2 in the backline, and Zeus is there with the flamethrower to take down HongQ again. JunJia will be able to keep himself alive at least, but Peanut takes down Doggo. There are those carries you were talking about, Mal. They're now taking a nap in the river, and there goes the rest of CFO to follow. HLE, they will find their team fight in the end.
And that's just going to be it, most likely. All the damage dealers on Hanwha Life ready to push down that mid lane. Baron buffs there, and CFO, they fought valiantly, but Hanwha Life get the Nash and take the game.
HLE with ruthless efficiency force the Baron, force the fight, win cleanly, and have the Nexus in their eyes.
Exactly. Nexus turret's going to be the next ones to fall down, and we had questions for HLE. Will Zeka be able to tidy up the play? Well, the answer to that is yes. Will Delight find some of his fantastic engages? Yes, and they needed to take down CFO here in this game number 1.
I can only hope this best of 3 goes the distance.
Oh,
Because this first game delivered everything. We see some of the power of Hanwha in those engages. The lights Rakan, Zeka having, I think, his first truly good game of the tournament. At the same time, CFO, they made them work so hard for it. They got Soul Point. If a couple of plays had gone differently, some of those chases would have netted them more kills. Could have been CFO taking the win.
Well, we'll see what our analysts have to say about it, because, man, that was a barn burner.
Absolutely spectacular. It's HLE that